Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently around 31.6k. Yeah, I want to update you what is going on with Bitcoin, share you my point of view here, and tell you what we can now expect based on my Elliott Wave count. I also want to show you here an episode of More Crypto Online Classics. Would like to go back to a video from October. As you know, since middle to end of November, I've been talking about price targets for Bitcoin below 29k, below 30k, but pretty much below 29k. But already in October, on the way to the all-time high, I made everybody aware who was watching back then. Obviously far less people than today, so it's great that the channel has grown fantastically since then. So many of you won't have watched these videos back then. In fact, they were actually Cardano videos, but I still had an episode of Bitcoin in each of these. I made you aware that we were on very, very shaky foundations, that the chart structure just didn't look very much all-time high like. And in the end, we made a new all-time high, but in the end, it was revealed as a corrective structure. And that is exactly what I could see in the chart structure back then. And a higher low. You don't have that here. It is very weird. You've got these, something like this here, where you have pretty much 100% retracement. This is not typical. And here as well, you've got another 100% retracement. And here again, maybe a 90% retracement. It is so strange, and it just indicates sort of that, you know, the market isn't really convinced yet. The market isn't really convinced. And there are so many things here which just doesn't look typical for a you know, continuous move to the upside, and that we've finally seen, that we've maybe seen the worst yet. You know, what we also have to assume that maybe that wasn't the A, maybe that wasn't the B, and maybe that wasn't the C. We've always assumed that because it looked like that, but potentially that could have been the A, right, down here. Maybe we go to a new B now, and maybe we come down once more in a more complex corrective move to another C. I just want to... So I already made everybody aware that there was this very weird structure in the chart, which honestly always has been a bit of a pain in the backside. It was always a bit of a headache throughout the whole move up for me, and I made people aware in various videos in October. But of course, you know, in the end we made a new all-time high, and Bitcoin was around the all-time high area, really at a key decision point. But it just was not very convincing what Bitcoin was doing at the time. And back then we were exactly here. So this was this wave B low that you can see here. A very weird structure in a clear uptrend. Normally you wouldn't see that. So I had really problems with that in the chart. But of course, after that, we made new all-time highs. We went up higher. So it was extremely hard to maintain that sort of bearish bias back then. And to be honest, the most likely outcome for this should have been a wave B, which in the end was a wave B, but it was an overshooting wave B, which revealed itself only when we dropped below 53k, because that was then the only logical wave count that I could see here based on the Elliott Wave method. But in the most likely scenario, actually, you normally would not see this extended wave B. I mean, this is a so-called expanded flat pattern, yeah, where you have a corrective structure, which has pretty much been going on now for over a year. And in this corrective structure, A, B, C, so three key waves in a corrective structure, you normally don't see this overshooting wave B. What does overshooting wave B mean? It just means that the B wave, pretty much as the name suggests, overshoots the previous high. So you make a new all-time high, even though it is a corrective wave. Very unlikely, but it played out. And in that case, because it played out, the most likely scenario then was that drop into the region below 29k, which I've been talking about and I've been warning about since November. Then we came down here to 33k, and everybody was like that this is now the low. But also here I maintained my bearish bias, and in the end it worked out. We had throughout some of these movements in between, I missed because I thought maybe we see a little bit more of an extensive move up before we finally come down. So here, for example, there was the possibility that Bitcoin breaks out all the way up to 55k before it comes down, but the overall destination always remained, and that in the end we crashed down that hard. I mean, that was really quite impressive, and I didn't expect it to happen that fast, but it's great that it did, because it means we are now in the last meters of the correction, and the overall Elliott Wave count here suggests, as I already showed you in the last few days, that we have probably seen here the wave 3. I mentioned it in the last video already today, that we're now coming up in a 4th wave to the upside. We will then come down in a 5th wave. And what we really need to say very clearly here, that the low could the low already be in? I very clearly say yes, but I don't believe in it. It can be in now, and I will get to that in a minute. Most likely for me is that we have at least one more dump to complete this 5th wave here, and maybe we even have another dump. But very clearly what I need to say, that the next dump, any dump that follows, could be the last one, very clearly, yeah. So we are really in the last meters of the correction. We are on our way to the finish line, and we really need to be very clear about that. Every low that comes now could be the last one, because we have come so close to my target area that I'm not bothered about it. I'm not bothered about a few $100s that are missing here. I mean, we came down to what, 29.8k. The low started here, or is my target area starts here at around 28.7, so pretty much $1,000. I'm not too bothered about it. I have a little bit of a headache if this is already the low, but it could theoretically be the case, because first of all, it's a very volatile market. Then we have different exchanges with slightly varying prices, not too much though, but that also needs to play a role here. So I've always told you that the lowest, we need to have a lower low than the wave A. That was always my target, my goal, and it still is, but we need to be very clear here that there is a slight percentage and a slight probability that the low could already be in, basically because we have come down so far to the target area and we have been so much oversold. We still are oversold, and the low could be in. Now, personally, based on the wave count, how I see it, yeah, and also the wave count suggests a slightly extended wave down, I would expect we have another small retracement up now. But to be fair as well, this could already be finished. Yeah, I explained that in the previous video, that with this wick to the upside, we already hit the wave 4 target area here, which would then in the next stage come down in a 5th wave. And again, this could be the absolute low for Bitcoin, or we make one more dump. And that is already what I told you in the last video. I don't know that yet. It really remains to be seen. What I want to show you, where could the lows actually be? So for me, there are two key price targets in this yellow target box. The first one is if I take the Fibonacci, if I take the Fibonacci retracement levels from the low to the high of the wave 1, we get here the 61.8% Fibonacci level. That is the most relevant Fibonacci level, and that is, in my opinion, one of the key targets in that yellow box, and this is one of the most likely areas where we could turn around. If we drop below that, it really increases the chances that we drop to the next target. What is the next target? The next target for me is the 200-week moving average. Bitcoin has, I believe, never, maybe with one exception, come below the 200-week moving average. So this is currently at around 22k and will provide massive support, in my opinion, for Bitcoin. If it loses that, the next level would be the 17.1k level. So these are sort of the three targets I am looking at. At 27.3, it could already be done, maybe even above that. All Bitcoin needs to do is to come to at least the low of the wave A, which is at 28.7. But as I said, we've come so close that in a volatile market like this, I'm not even bothered about. So we could already see that the low potentially is in. Very low probability for that as well. I just need to make that clear. Primarily, I expect we see more lows here in the market, yeah. But I have to make you aware that we have come so close now that the possibility technically exists that I wouldn't be bothered about it, so that we could already have seen the low. But again, very low probability. To understand that the low is in, we need to see, and that is only what happens when the low is in, we need to see a first impulsive wave up like this, a first 5-wave structure, and a first corrective wave down. No reason to FOMO into this pump, because usually in the first corrective wave down, you come down quite a lot again anyway, and that would then be a target area where we can go in with a lot of confidence. And yeah, so very exciting times, I think. I mean, we have been already oversold on various time frames. There is only one thing that really gives me a headache about Bitcoin, and I have to make that very clear as well. I have to give you all the information here, and that is my monthly friend here. If we take a look at that chart, I mean, look at the MACD. It is not making any signs of a slowing down of the downtrend, and it is so high still. This suggests to me one thing which I don't really like. I guess nobody likes that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to drop much longer, but it can suggest that the recovery or that the correction either could be a bleeding out, which takes a long time to bring that monthly RSI further down, or it could just mean, that the low could be in fairly quickly, but then the recovery takes a long time, because the MACD just needs to come lower. It is so high still. It's, in my opinion, far too high. So that is, and also the RSI is not where I want it to be. It is not where I want it to be. Even here in the last lows of January, and here after the December 2018, it was down here at 44. It is currently at just below 50, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the monthly chart. It moves slowly, and also here back in 2015, it came down to 44. So that would suggest further downside, and that would be in line with my primary expectation. But just very clearly, every low could be it, and that is great, because I had a comment today of someone who told me that I'm always so bearish and negative, but I don't think I am. I mean, I only tell you what I think needs to happen, and so far it's played out here on the bigger picture side of things. And honestly, when we reach the target area, and I'm not flipping over yet, but as soon as we reach the target area, I will turn around and become the super bullish Ben from MCO, right? So that's just what it is. And I'm going to close the video now and finish off, because this is getting too long. So hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership for Telegram, Discord and weekly live stream access. And if you also really like the content, maybe check out my trading course on my website, morecryptoonline.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.